outside.
911, what's your emergency?
Hello everyone, welcome to episode 12 of my series, Crafts and Crimes. My name is Kelly of Miss Kelly's Gifts. Every week I post a video of myself crafting while talking about a different true crime case. This week I will be talking about the 1984 murder of Melanie Road, a 17-year-old schoolgirl from Bath in the southwest of England. This case would remain unsolved for 30 years. Melanie Road was described as being a bubbly, bright, and vivacious girl. She was an A student who excelled in school, was deputy head girl, and had dreams of becoming an archaeologist. She loved music, and it was said that she never argued with anyone. On June 8th, 1984, Melanie went on a night out with her boyfriend and friends to the Beau Nash nightclub on Kensington Road, where she danced and drank until 2 a.m. when the club shut. In the early morning hours of June 9th, Melanie's boyfriend offered to get her a taxi from Broad Street, which she refused, deciding instead to make the 15 to 20-minute walk home. No one questioned this choice, because it was a walk that she had made many times before without incident. Like so many young women living in Bath at the time, she felt safe, but this would be the last time she was seen alive. At around 5:30 in the morning, Melanie's body was discovered by a milkman and his 10-year-old son near a block of garages in St. Stephen's Court. Her body had been dragged 30 meters from St. Stephen's Road, and she was in a pool of blood. She was stabbed 26 times with a sharp-edged knife, causing 4-inch wounds. 8 of the wounds were in her chest, and she had been sexually assaulted. The poor girl was found only yards from her house. In an investigation of the scene, the police turned up a wooden key ring with the name Melanie on it. They then proceeded to drive around the local area, calling out Melanie's name over a loudhailer. When her mother heard the name, she went out to the police car to tell them that Melanie was her daughter's name and that she hadn't returned home from her night out. Avon and Somerset police began a murder investigation the same day Melanie's body was discovered. They attempted to work out the route that she would have taken home from Broad Street, but in 1984, there were no CCTV cameras and no cell phones to help track her movements. Police were able to identify 3 men in the area that they wished to speak with. A man riding a bike on St. Stephen's Road, a man sitting on a church wall, and a man seen loitering in the area not far from the crime scene. But ultimately, they were unable to locate these men. Meanwhile, there were drops of blood leading away from the crime scene that didn't belong to Melanie Road, and they were found to be a rare blood type belonging to only 3% of the population. Investigators set out to find all the men in the local area with this rare blood type, but unfortunately, in 1984, the technology to run a DNA profile didn't yet exist. The investigation into finding Melanie Road's murderer was one of the largest manhunts in British history, and the investigation was called Operation Rhodium. 94 arrests were made between 1984 and 1989, but no one was ever charged with the crime, and the investigation quickly went cold. Despite no new leads or information, the case was never dropped, but it would remain on hold until 2014. In 1995, a DNA profile of the murderer was created and entered into a national database, but it yielded no results. In 2000, a more detailed profile was created and investigators began looking for potential family matches to the killer. In 2009, on the 25th anniversary of her murder, a Crime Watch special was aired and over 70 names were handed into the police, but none of which were the murderer. In 2010, hundreds of potential matches had been traced, but none of them led to the right suspect. Police were called to a fight between Claire Hampton and her boyfriend in June 2014. She was given a caution for breaking his necklace during the fight, and a routine swab was taken. Little did anyone know at the time that this incident was going to help solve the murder of Melanie Rode. In 2015, investigators were once again running the DNA profile against anyone who had been added to the database since 2010, and this was when they got a match to Claire Hampton. When she was questioned by the police, this led them to her father, 63-year-old Christopher Hampton. He was 32 years old at the time of Melanie's murder and lived in Bath with his girlfriend and 2 children. A swab was taken, and the DNA matched perfectly to the semen found at the 1984 crime scene on Melanie's trousers and body. Hampton was arrested on July 3rd, 2015. When the police took him away, his wife was heard to say, "I'll see you later." He simply replied with no emotion in his voice, "No, you won't." He denied committing the crime, but refused to speak to both the police and his own legal team. On July 9th, 2015, Christopher Hampton first appeared in court, where his trial date was set for the following May. In December of that same year, he appeared once more in court to enter his plea of not guilty. On May 9th, 2016, Hampton appeared in court for what was likely to be a lengthy jury trial, but he shocked everyone when he simply said, "guilty," while the charges were being read out. He was sentenced to 22 years in prison by Justice Popwell, who said to Hampton, "Only you know precisely how you approached her and carried out your attack, but certain things are plain from the evidence. It was a lengthy and brutal attack for your own sexual gratification. You stabbed her while she was on her feet on the street on her way home before chasing her some 30 meters round the corner to the cul-de-sac where she died. Every day for 32 years, her family have been suffering the agony of losing Melanie in such horrific circumstances. You lived your family life for all those years, knowing the extreme misery you must have inflicted on your victim's family. You were too callous and cowardly to put an end to their heartache. You will very likely die in prison." Both Melanie's sister Karen and brother Adrian made victim impact statements at the sentence hearing. Her sister said, "You would think that nothing could be worse than being told that your little sister has been sexually attacked and brutally murdered. What is worse is no one being charged with her murder. For 32 years, this evil person has not owned up to this horrific crime. I want to be able to remember her life instead of focusing on her death. She is my sister. She is a person. She deserves to be remembered for herself." Her brother said, "When they told me, I cried uncontrollably. I cried. My 6-year-old daughter asked me, 'Daddy, why are you crying?' I had to tell her, the man who killed Auntie Melanie, my sister, a long time ago, has now been caught, so we are all safe. You killed Melanie. You raped her, you mutilated her, and you chose to abandon her. You abandoned her when she was dying, our little sister, Melanie. She was a lovely girl, and I loved her." Christopher Hampton has never apologized or shown any remorse whatsoever for his crime. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Crafts and Crimes. If you're interested in the things I'm crafting, please check out the links in my descriptions. If you found this video interesting, please leave a like and comment below with what future cases you want me to talk about. Don't forget to subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss out on any future uploads. I'll see you all next time.